At this point, welcome. Welcome.
Well, you're live now.
We're live now?
We are live.
Are we live?
Mm-hmm.
There's sound!
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Is there?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I can hear it. Yeah, we're live.
We are. Welcome to the Brotherhood in Christ podcast. We are sorry about the technical difficulties that we've been having.
Thanks, Marco.
Yes.
Best sound I ever.
At any rate, okay, so let's start over. So tonight's guest is Steve Simard from right here in Williston. I got to know Steve through our men's group here in Williston. And tonight I invited him because I wanted him to tell his testimony. And then we're going to talk a little bit about your foundation that you just currently have started and wanting to bring that to the community here in Williston. So let's just start from the beginning, Steve.
Start from the beginning.
Let's start from the beginning. Who is Steve Simard?
Steve. Leave a legacy.
Yes, you are.
So let's start growing up.
Let's start growing up. Take us back.
I was born in Sydney, Montana, just across the border.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they said they lost us.
Bring us back.
What is happening?
I don't know. Mark?
I can hear you guys.
It's like replaying in our headphones.
Oh, they can hear you. That sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay.
At least on Facebook, there's sound.
I get that, but everything's playing back and through our headphones.
Yeah.
Oh.
Are we good?
Yeah.
All right, we're good.
We're good. Sorry.
I was born in Sydney, Montana, 1986. Growing up, we moved to Williston. I was probably 3 years old, me and my mother.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, my father and that side of the family in Sydney grew up in addiction.
It's like when we were doing Here's the Deal, there was certain topics we covered.
That's all right. Are we completely? Did it completely cut out?
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh my goodness, why? Says here you are again. There you go.
Oh, hey, here we are.
We're live again.
We're live again. Let's just roll with it.
Man, we're really fighting the battle tonight, guys. I do apologize.
Yeah.
This is let's
Not
back
anymore.
up just a little
can hear
bit
you
then.
now.
Go ahead, Marco.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're good.
All right, let's back up just a little bit because I think that is a serious point that people need to know. So if you go back to 4th and 5th grade again and come
You
back to high school.
really just want to throw that on me, huh?
I think it's important. So yeah,
Let's
if
start.
if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah. I mean,
you wouldn't have mentioned it, I guess, if you.
Speaking about addiction and everything else, that causes it isn't comfortable. So
yeah,
let's get uncomfortable.
Okay.
4th and 5th grade. That's when me being molested started.
Okay.
It was a pretty common occurrence, and at that time, I didn't know any better. I thought that's what happened. That's part of growing up, and I didn't have anybody to talk to about that because
I was just gonna ask, did you tell someone or
no? I don't think I told anybody up until maybe 2 people in the past 15 years, maybe 3. That's something I've just kind of held on to.
Yeah.
But I accepted it that it happened. I can't change it. And, as my journey with sobriety has continued, I've finally been able to realize that trauma had a huge impact on my addiction and the battles that I face with it. But like I said, growing up, I was used to that lifestyle of the drugs being around me from such a young age. Divorce with my parents, being molested, and then right out of high school, I started working in the oil and gas industry. 2005.
Okay.
I learned very quickly that there really was no such thing as addiction in the industry. Right. That's part of everyday life. It didn't matter if it was cocaine, meth, alcohol, you name it. So 2005, I started work at Halliburton. By 2008, I am fired, and I'm in my first, I guess you could call it, first full-blown addiction by 2008.
So when did you start experimenting? Is it drugs or alcohol or both? Or
pot was the first thing I started experimenting with. And then, of course, it went straight to alcohol. And still to this day, alcohol is one of the most acceptable things out there. Nobody thinks there's anything wrong with it. And that's unfortunate. Yeah. For me, alcohol is, I can say now that I'm an alcoholic. I didn't know that for quite some time, but I am an alcoholic. So started experimenting. 2008, I full-blown addiction. I'm let go from my job, and I don't know how, but I learned how to cook meth.
Wow.
So
how old were you about at this time then?
I think I was right at 21.
21.
It was right before right before I had met my first wife. Yeah, I learned how to cook meth, and I don't have a lot of memories of it. It was a pretty big blur. A lot of partying, and it was just one of those things that it was accepted. I think at that point in time, Williston was labeled the meth capital of the United States in 2008, and they called it Williston White, or antidope. We used to cook it with anhydrous ammonia.
Wow. So
It-
what were you doing at this time then? Because obviously you were fired. So how are you making money?
I cashed out my 401k. I had about $70,000 at the age of 21, 22.
Mm-hmm.
Cashed that out. Within a year, I had lost my house, lost everything. I really don't know how I supported myself. I wasn't selling drugs at the time. That didn't happen until way later. I guess this second go around with addiction. But I just partied, man.
Yeah.
I had no care in the world.
And how long did this continue then?
It feels like it continued for years, but I want to say probably I had met my wife at the time. I think I was 22. So I think like a year and a half, maybe a little bit longer. I had packed up everything. I decided I was going to join the military. That was the answer to all my problems. Was I'd failed at the oil field. I had a drug problem. I lost my house. I'd got kicked out of my apartment, living in my mom's basement. I'm just going to pack everything up and go to the army. So I actually went with my recruiter to Fargo,
Mm-hmm.
and did my ASVAB and everything. And I was supposed to swear in the next day at 5:00 in the morning at the Prairie Rose Hotel in Fargo. And if he sees this, he'll finally know what happened. But I went to the bar that night, met some people, decided to get high. I never left Fargo for another year and a half. Moved in with my wife about 4 days after meeting her.
Wow.
And we lived together, and next thing you know, we have our oldest son. She ends up pregnant, and we move back to Williston, and our oldest son is born.
So being the army didn't work out, what were you doing then?
I came back to Williston and went back to work in the oil field. I think the 2008 oil field kind of collapsed.
Mm-hmm.
So I think probably 2009 or 2010, I came back. I actually, I went to work for Noble Casing.
Oh,
It was right when they purchased Spartan from Shiloh and Shiloh Pittman.
okay.
And yeah, I went out on a couple jobs with Trevor and Chance and Toby and Tanner.
Oh, wow. The originals, huh?
The originals. We were on Nasty 9 for Cyclone.
That's funny.
Yeah. So I did a little stint there, just kind of hopped around on jobs, and then I got into the field of roustabouting.
Mm-hmm.
I had stayed pretty clean for 11 years, 12 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I still drank, but I had it in my mind that as long as I didn't touch liquor, that I was fine. There was nothing wrong with me.
So before you continue, what I'm hearing, I think, is you got all this stuff happen to you from an early age up until, I mean, now we're kind of into your mid-20s, right?
Yep.
And it feels like you're just looking for a place to fit in, just to be. Am I correct in saying that? Just to fit in, to be wanted, to Are you still kind of running from
You're
from
actually
everything?
you're actually spot on. I'll apologize in advance if I end up getting emotional throughout this,
That's
but
fine.
I can already feel it coming on.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, to feeling wanted, accepted.
yep.
Um, growing up, my father really wasn't there. My mom, she worked 3 jobs. She busted her ass every day. But that also, there was the negative side of I was alone a lot with babysitters.
Yep.
Really didn't have many friends. My mom struggled for years, and so I couldn't have the nice clothes. I couldn't have the cool shoes,
Yep.
cool bikes with pegs. Everybody had Schwinn bikes. We couldn't afford those. I remember my mom probably had to work for a year straight, and when she finally got me one, it was the coolest thing in the world. But feeling accepted, I always kind of felt like I was an outcast for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the longest time, I thought I was gay because of what happened. So it's tough, yeah, and it carried on for a long time of wanting to be accepted by a group or for people to see me.
Right. So, with that being said, how did you have any conversations with your first wife about this then, or how did that go?
Very, very minimal. Um, my first wife and I, we had to grow up really quick. It felt like
Yeah.
um, we didn't have that opportunity or chance to get to know each other, right? To do the whole dating thing. It was I can't even tell you how it really happened, but next thing you know, I'm moving in with her. We barely even know each other, and I'm moving in with her, and all of a sudden, 9 months later, she's pregnant, and we're having our first kid.
Yeah.
And then I'm back to work. I was fresh out of addiction, met her, we're having a kid, I'm back to work. There was I never slowed down.
Yeah.
And we ended up having our 2 oldest children together. Fantastic woman, fantastic realtor. If you guys need a house, go see Amanda Stevens. She'll get you all hooked up at Next Home.
Cool.
But yeah, we didn't things just didn't work out, and shouldn't say things didn't just work out. I had a drug problem, and I hid it for many years. But going back, I was sober for probably 12 years.
Okay.
Still drank alcohol, and it was trying to fit in with everybody. That's the norm in this industry.
Right.
Is alcohol, lots of money, who has the nicest stuff, how big is your house, how much money can you donate. And for me, I started doing relatively well in my career early on. Once I realized that if you move up the ladder, it doesn't matter what issues you have, you become somebody. So the more money I had, the more people paid attention to me.
Yep.
And my own ego and pride, and arrogance just ruined me. I wanted to make sure at the time, I would always tell myself, I'm never going to end up like my father. And I ended up exactly like him when he went through that. Love my father to death. We are great friends. I have the utmost respect for him, but he wasn't there throughout my childhood. And
Yeah.
I turned into the same thing. I lost who I was. I didn't know how to do any of that. I didn't know how to grow. All I cared about was people accepting me.
Yep.
And it didn't matter who I hurt, what I did. As long as people saw me as something, whether it was all this money or the biggest house or whatever, that's all that mattered.
Right. It's what you're seeing on the outside.
Yep.
Yep.
Everything was very materialistic.
So, what happened? How long were you married to your first wife?
Oh, geez. I knew you'd ask me this question. I think we were married for 6 years.
6 years.
I think we were together for 12.
Gotcha.
Sorry if I got that wrong.
So, what was the nail in the coffin that ended that?
Oh boy. The nail in the coffin that ended that was Festival of Trees. That is when my hidden drug addiction, I had relapsed about 6 months, 7 months before Festival of Trees that year, and I hit it. I was doing cocaine pretty regularly, and Festival of Trees night. Of course, it's a huge event for charity and community. I was doing a lot of cocaine that specific night. And somebody had let my wife at the time know that I was doing it, and she called me out on it. And of course, naturally, in addiction, you're going to deny everything. And I tried pretty hard. I did everything I could to deny it. That was the beginning of my downfall, was Festival of Trees. I'll never forget that night. Looking back at it, obviously I wish people wouldn't have had to see that, but I man, that's what addiction does. It destroys people.
Yeah.
And people got to witness that firsthand.
So what year are we talking then? Do you know about?
Oh boy.
Mid 2000s, obviously.
2016, 15.
Yeah. Okay.
Right around there. No, 2018. I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
But yeah, that was the start of a long battle.
Downfall.
Yeah.
Okay, so that night happens. Obviously, it wasn't good. You guys end up getting split up.
Yep.
So then, where's Steve go from there?
Steve gets on a rocket ship and a path of destruction, a path of chaos. A lot of it is a blur. Man. Just everything I could possibly do to self-sabotage not only myself, but everybody around me.
So at this point, do you think you're just angry, or are you still looking to fit in somewhere, or is the money and everything, is that not good enough anymore? What do you think is going through your head at that point in time in your life?
The money at that point in my life was never good enough. I made a lot of money.
Yeah.
I made so much money. I blew every single penny. I should honestly be retired right now.
Yeah.
I didn't care who was in my way. It was everybody else's fault. It wasn't my fault.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to admit that at that point. You know, and it really sucked. I pushed everybody away. I had nobody left, and then COVID hit, oil field crashed, and it just got worse. Absolutely worse. I think I had probably spent well over $100,000 in less than 6 months.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you're doing hard drugs, alcohol, both?
Hard drugs, alcohol, sex, you name it, I was doing it.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yep. 100%.
So had you been into prison at all at this point in time, or?
No. At that point in time, the only thing I had ever been in trouble for was a minor in possession.
Wow.
Yep. I steered clear from the law enforcement side of things. It wasn't up until about 2.5, 3 years ago that I started getting in trouble. I actually 4 years ago, pretty heavy into dealing drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And believe it or not, my current wife, Jayla, we just got married 2 weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I was her drug dealer.
Wow.
I don't know how happy she's going to be about that, but it's part of our.
Do you need to take this couch home with you?
I might have to. Might be in the doghouse. But she met me when I don't know if you could call it the tail end of addiction.
Yeah.
But I was definitely. I was probably in the peak, right in the peak of my addiction. We we ended up having our first daughter together, Harlow. I was so strung out and so high that I couldn't even get her to the hospital, which, mind you, we lived in an apartment across the street from the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
I was so strung out that I couldn't get her to the hospital across the street.
Wow.
We ended up having our child at home. I delivered my daughter.
So, okay. You couldn't get her to the hospital.
Yep.
You ended up delivering her.
Yep.
Wow.
In the bedroom, called 911. The ambulance drove across the street.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Greatest woman on earth. Honestly, she is. She had decided after that she needed to leave town, and so she took our daughter and she went back to Utah and Arizona. She struggled with addiction as well.
Gotcha.
So she took our daughter and she left town and said, until you get sober, I'm not coming back. And for the next 2 years after that, more chaos ensued.
I was just going to ask, was that the lowest point then, or are we're still spiraling out of control?
We're still spiraling at that point.
Okay.
Now, mind you, from divorce to then, we're looking at a good 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're still spiraling, full steam ahead. I'm in full blown meth addiction, intravenous user. I don't know if you can tell by the scars on my arms.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all infections. And so, yeah, at this point, she's in Arizona, Utah with my daughter, Harlow, and she finds out she's pregnant again with our next daughter, Elora. That didn't stop me. I lied, I cheated, I stole. I honestly didn't care if I lived.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, I hadn't seen my two oldest children. I hadn't spoke to my oldest children in nearly 4 years. And they live right here in this town. That's where my addiction, man, when it grabbed hold of me, it took me for a ride. And like I said, I really didn't care if I lived or died. I was, Jayla would ask me so many times, you need to go to rehab, you need to get help.
Yeah.
And I would always tell her I will be in a body bag before I go to rehab. Rehab is for quitters. I'd rather die. And I had it in my head too that I had quit drugs before, cold turkey, not a problem. And I can do it again. I don't need help. Now, that wasn't the case. I started getting in trouble. My first offense was task force finally caught up to me, and they did a bust at Come and Go, Highway Patrol, Northwest Narcotics Task Force, the city of Williston, pinned me into a parking spot, found a bunch of drugs on me, let me go that night, walked out of the jail. I was on an even bigger rampage.
Why do you think they let you go?
They let me know because they knew I'd mess up again. That's I hope I don't make anybody mad in law enforcement, but I have a lot of great friends,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still friends with some of those officers that arrested me. They knew I was a drug addict, and I was probably a pretty easy target. I was also selling a lot of methamphetamine, a lot, to the point of they let me out, they arrested me again, they let me out, they arrested me again. And when they finally arrested me, the Bureau of Criminal Investigations decided to come after me, and with the task force, and they decided to hit me with four B felonies for delivery of methamphetamine. Threatened me with, the 20 years in prison. Took me to jail. And I don't know what it was, but at that point, I was done. I thought I was.
Mm-hmm.
I got out of the apartment that I was living at with a buddy, and I decided to go to another place where I consider him a really good friend. Of course, he was struggling with addiction as well. So you got two people struggling with addiction. It's never good. So I go to this house to try to get away. I go to one of my court hearings, and I decided that day that I was going to take my life after I left court. I got back to the house. I had sent some text messages out, made a Facebook post, and I remember pulling a chair up in the middle of a living room where I was staying, and I grabbed a knife, and I right then and there, I think I had texted Jayla, actually. I think I had texted Jayla and my mother, and probably my I remember grabbing the knife, and I remember holding it to my throat, and I remember just screaming at the top of my lungs for somebody to walk through that door. Or at that moment, I finally prayed to God and asked God, please, please help, whatever I have to do, please help me, because I can't live like this anymore. I couldn't. I was done. And I remember pressing that knife to my throat, and it was a pretty serrated knife.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember closing my eyes, and I remember I was going to pull across my throat, and I woke up on the couch probably about 6 hours later, and I looked over, and the guy I was living with was sitting on the chair, and he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "No." And the next day, I decided to go to Northwest Human Service Center here in Williston, and I walked in the door and said, "I need to do a drug and alcohol evaluation, and I need to go to treatment immediately."
So the picture that you sent me when I made the post for this episode last night, is that what you looked like then?
Pretty
close.
Pretty close. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was. I'm sure, as everybody's seen, I was pretty skinny.
Yep.
I think when I went into treatment, I want to say I was 140 pounds at least.
Well, to put that in perspective, I'm 180 of pure love, by the way.
You look like it. You look like it.
At any rate.
Yeah, so I went to treatment, man, and I spent about 45 days there.
Mm-hmm.
I am I am so grateful that I only had to attend treatment one time. I know a lot of people, it takes many times. I am so grateful.
What did it for you that it was only once? Excuse me.
What did it for me? I never wanted to live this life of addiction. It's not me. I never wanted that. The drugs was just it was an easy way to make my mind stop. It was an easy solution.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the drugs were. And I hate drugs. I can't stand drugs. I can't believe I was addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
It's not fun at all. It's absolutely miserable. It causes nothing but health problems, financial problems, family problems. It freaking sucks that anybody has to go through that.
Why do you think people turn that way? Like when I mean we've talked a little bit about acceptance, right? Like what is with drugs that is part of that? Is it the numbing of the pain? Does it really numb the pain? I suppose it's different for people. I guess I'm asking because I've never done a hard drug or anything like that. And my life kind of went a different route because of my health when I was really young. Obviously, I've had the surgeries and stuff like that. So the drug scene was never in my deal, but the acceptance and the self worth and different things like that. were, but at any rate, I was just kind of wondering what makes people turn that way.
That's a really good question. It's a tough one to answer too, because
And maybe we should just say what made you turn that way.
that's also a really good question. What made me turn to drugs? I didn't know how to deal with anything in my mind.
Yeah.
It goes right into mental health. I was raised to not say anything,
Mm-hmm.
to not show feelings,
Yep.
to not cry. If you cried or questioned what your dad was doing, you were just a wuss.
Yeah.
That's not how men act.
Right.
And for the longest time, that's the way society has told us. Men can't stand up and speak out. And especially in this industry, the oil and gas industry, for the longest time, you're not allowed to show emotion at all. You're weak, and it's unfortunate, but I didn't know how to deal with the trauma. And that was my answer to all of that, was drugs. And it's not that it numbed it. It just made me forget about it, so I didn't have to deal with it. I didn't want to be weak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. And we're going to talk about mental health here in just a second, but so you went through all of this, you got arrested, you went through rehab. Where does things start turning around for you?
Things start turning around. I'll back up, because this kind of ties into Cornerstone Recovery Foundation. This is where this idea all started.
Sure.
I got out of rehab 45 days. I go back to the same house that I was staying at before I went to rehab, except now I'm sober. I got a clear mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to go back to work. Everything's going to be fine. I'm going to get Jayla back up here, my kids back up here. And mind you, I hadn't even met my youngest daughter yet. She was born. I got to see her I found out she was born over FaceTime. And I hadn't seen Harlow in over a year, and I hadn't met my other daughter yet. So my mom picks me up from Minot, and life's great. I'm sober. I want to get back to work. Nothing can stop me. I have all these plans.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to that same house, and within, I want to say 15 minutes, but within a couple hours, I've relapsed. That's something a lot of people don't know that. But yeah, I relapsed.
Meaning you started using again.
I started using again. Cocaine was, I was snorting cocaine within an hour of me being out of rehab.
Wow.
And I don't know what it was. I think I had stayed there for probably 2 days, maybe 3 days, 24 hours or so, maybe 48. And I don't know how Jayla knew, but she could tell something was wrong with me. And I don't know what it was, but I decided to text my little brother. And me and my little brother, we never really had a relationship. It just I don't know why we didn't have a connection. Or I do know it was my addictions. And for some reason, I decided to text him, and I said, "Hey, can you come and get me?" And no hesitation whatsoever. I'm just getting off work. I'll be there in an hour. And I remember looking at the guy that I was staying with, and I was packing my bags, and I looked at him. I said, "Hey, I'm gonna go to Sydney for the weekend. I'll be back." And I never came back. I moved in with my brother in Sydney. Kind of slept detox for those 3 days in his basement, and he let me stay there and help me financially. I like to think my little brother saved my life for sure. Man, had he not picked me up that night, I don't know if I'd be here. So I moved to Sydney. He's helping me out financially, gets my license back, and I finally get Jayla back up here. Driving down to Arizona to go pick her up. I hadn't seen Jayla, and it was a little over. It's coming right up on a year. I think we were like 2 weeks away from 1 year of actually seeing each other.
Mm-hmm.
1 year from me seeing Harlow, my daughter, and I hadn't even met Delora yet. Drive all the way down to Arizona, finally get there, and it was the scariest thing ever because I didn't know this woman sober. She only knew me. I only knew her from addiction. I was high the whole time. It was the scariest thing in the world. And I finally get there, and like, what if she doesn't like me? I'm sober now. Like, or what if I'm too weird to her? Or
yeah,
you know, what if my kids don't remember me? That was a real thing. Was what happens if my daughter does not remember me? What do I do? Do I just pack up and leave?
yeah.
So I got my kids and moved to Sydney and stayed there for a year, and now we're back.
Cool. So let's fast forward a little bit. Do we want to talk about the health kitchen, or do we want to talk about Launchpad first?
No. Let's talk about, so during early part of my addiction, I got very big into intravenous shooting up. I would use a 22 gauge needle when I was shooting up drugs. I don't know if you know how big that is.
Mm-hmm. It is.
We'll probably get a little disgusting here, but the blood clots get inside of it. Well, it was so big that I could still push everything back through. So I did that for a while. I ended up getting sepsis. Just thought I had to start hallucinating. Can't figure out what's wrong with me. I decided to finally go to the hospital after laying in bed for like 5 days. I walk into the hospital and I pretty much fell over at the entrance of the ER. They get me all hooked up to machines, and they end up shipping me to the infectious disease department, Minot. And that's where they find out that I had a bacterial heart infection. 4 millimeters of my heart valve had broken off and traveled to my right lung, which caused the pulmonary embolism that happened when I walked through the ER doors.
Wow. How are you even here?
Right?
That is
Right?
crazy.
I ended up, I think I was in Minot for probably week and a half to 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That was also kind of a blur, but yeah, week and a half to 2 weeks. The infection kind of goes away, and I was supposed to go back once a month for 6 months to receive antibiotic injections. I couldn't afford it at the time, so I just quit going.
Mm-hmm.
Let's fast forward to 8 months ago.
Okay.
I started attending Tuesday morning prayer group
Right here in Williston.
It's actually at the range at that time. Kyle Ostrand, owner of Three Forks
Energy Services.
Yep. I just get hired on with Three Forks, and I keep hearing Kyle talk about. I would notice like every Tuesday, he would show up late, and it would just always irk me. Why is he always showing up late on Tuesdays? What's
and mind you, he's the owner.
Yeah. What's this guy's deal? But I would always hear him when he would walk down the hallway talking to his wife.
Yeah.
Marquette. Phenomenal woman.
Yep.
Love her to death. But Kyle would always talk about this group.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Kyle, what the heck is this group all about? Oh, it's this men's group. We get together, we pray, we talk about things, and you should come check it out. Absolutely not. Not even an option. Thanks for the invite.
It's usually how it starts.
Yep. Thanks for the invite. Not happening. And I think like not even 5 or 6 hours later, Corey Neer calls me. Actually, no, I called Corey Neer. Just some random question I had to talk to him about.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "Hey, you what are you doing on Tuesdays?" I said, I don't know why. You should come check out this Tuesday morning prayer group. I'm like, you know what? My freaking boss just told me about what. No, I'm not going to this Tuesday morning prayer group. Week goes by. I decided to go to this Tuesday morning prayer group.
Oh.
And it was at the range.
Yep.
And I remember walking through those doors and seeing Eli Black and mind you, I hadn't seen hardly anybody since I had been back in Williston and out of addiction. I was too embarrassed. The amount of shame and guilt and embarrassment
that you're carrying,
that I was carrying. And when I walked through those doors and I knew almost every single person there, man, it was the most overwhelming, scared. I couldn't even talk. It was so embarrassing. And yet it was the greatest thing ever. And it was the first time that I had been prayed over. And it was, I didn't know what to do. But I kept coming back. And for whatever reason, I just had to. And we moved to New Hope Church, and I find out, I'm trying to get my health right. And so I start going back to the doctors and having a lot of, chest pains and stuff like that. And I bring it up to my doctor that in the past I had a bacterial heart infection. Part of my heart valve was broken off. I had what's called endocarditis. It happens from intravenous drug use generally, regurgitating heart valve as well. And she said, well, we definitely need to get you in for an EKG. I can definitely tell something's going on. You have a murmur, all of this. We definitely need to look at the options of surgery since you didn't get the surgery last time.
Yeah.
And I speak about that at Tuesday morning prayer group. And we go to get in our prayer group, our 3-4 man groups at the end there.
Yep.
And Eli Black decides to come up and he prays with me. And he puts his hand over my heart and he prays for just supernatural healing, a radical experience. Perfect. Then I get invited to Launchpad. Absolutely, I'll go. Week prior to that, we have another Tuesday morning group, and he prays over me again. Thursday, I go in for my ultrasound and my echocardiogram up here at McKinsey Health. And I'm pretty scared because, you know, they're already talking about sending me to Minot for all this stuff, and we're planning for the worst.
Yep.
Child, I'm 39 years old. Shouldn't be having heart surgery. I go into this thing and I'm laying down on the table and they've got their echocardiogram machine up. Looks just like an ultrasound machine. They're taking pictures of my heart, doing all this and doing all that. And I'm laying there and this guy's talking. He goes, "So why did you come in?" I just gave him the whole story. A couple years ago, broken heart valve, endocarditis, regurgitating heart valve. I didn't get the surgery. I was too caught up in addiction. And he goes, "Oh, okay. So why are you here? What's the issue?" And I said, "Well, I didn't get anything repaired." He goes, "Why would you? Why did they even send you here?" And I'm looking at that machine and I'm like, "Well, what are we looking at?" And I can see my heart.
Were you looking for the cameras? Like, okay.
He's got my previous ultrasound pictures or my echo pictures, and he gets done and I said, "Well, how bad is it?" And he goes, There's nothing wrong with your heart. There's no broken heart valve. There's no scarring on anything." And I just I remember looking at him and crying. "You're wrong, because that's not possible."
I remember when you came back, because they were talking about that, and we had Eli was the first guest here and talking about prayer group and things, and you often get brought up because of this. You're one of the many miracles that we have gotten to witness right here in Williston, and I
6 months ago, I didn't believe in God or the Holy Spirit. 6 months ago, I've never picked up a Bible. It wasn't even an option. I wasn't going to believe. Yeah. I had my own idea of what to believe in, and it wasn't Jesus Christ. I walked out of McKinsey Health, and my wife was there, and she goes, "Well, what'd you find out?" And I said, "There's nothing wrong." She says, "What do you mean there's nothing wrong? You can't have just nothing. There can't be nothing wrong." So there's literally nothing wrong. I remember going back to my office because the next day I was supposed to leave for Launchpad. Mm-hmm. I remember going back to my office and I called Kyle. I said, "Get this." He goes, "What's up?" And he was walking through the airport in Denver. I said, "There's nothing wrong with my heart, Kyle." And he just stopped. And Kyle starts crying on the phone. I'm like, "What are you doing, man? Why are you crying?"
Yeah.
And that moment right there, man, I realized the power of prayer. I realized the power of Christ in that moment. Mm-hmm. And I seen it firsthand. It happened to me. You always hear people talking about it, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I wish a miracle would happen. I'm here to tell you, it happened. It happened to me. Of all people, it happened to me.
It happened to you.
From from there on out, man, I've been on fire from my man Jesus Christ. I laugh like a little schoolgirl, but it's a real deal, man.
It is.
It is the real deal.
And you went through Launchpad in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
So that was the first Launchpad that I actually went down to serve.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest with you, Steve, I don't think we crossed paths when we were down there. If we did, I don't remember, but I did. Kyle and I served together, and we were greeters at the doors and stuff and different things. But that was a really powerful just a event. It was the first time that I got to serve people. And I've said this before, I've been able to do some pretty cool things in the horse industry and just in life in general.
Yeah.
But when I went down there to Arizona and we got to serve you guys, and we went out and we evangelized, and there's nothing like praying over people.
Oh man, it's wild.
When you got, especially when you're in a place like Gilbert, Arizona, we went. I'll never forget this. I tell this story many times. We went out to the grocery. There was like close to 20 of us in that house that we rented.
Yep.
And so we went and got groceries. There was quite a few of us. We jumped out of these vans and went into this grocery store. And we ended up praying for a college girl. She just she got injured in softball or whatever, and so we ended up praying for her, and her mother was with her, and there was a couple other people that we ended up praying for in this grocery store. But the thing about it is I'll never forget it, Steve, because we walked out of there and we had Big Ed with us. And if you knew who Big Ed was out there, viewers, he's just this giant of a man, big beard, and
Hagrid from Harry Potter.
Yeah, exactly. And just it's a good thing that there's not a meme going in his body, because he's a mountain of a man. But we had him and Forrest and Steve Black and a few of the other guys, and the twins, John and James Rasmussen. And
happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, by the way, gentlemen. I don't know if you're watching tonight, but happy birthday. Love you guys. At any rate, we went out of this grocery store, and I'll never forget it. This elderly lady chases us out of the grocery store and says, hey, can you guys pray for me? And she laid some things down, and she was trying to she was going to see her son that she hadn't seen in many years because of addiction. She was getting over her addictions as well. And so, yeah, standing in the in the middle of this entrance outside of this grocery store in Gilbert, Arizona, we all laid hands on her and prayed for her. That was one of the coolest experiences of my life, honestly. And so, yeah, it was pretty powerful down there.
Yeah, that was a wild experience. I didn't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
I was still pretty, I don't want to say closed. I was very reserved.
Yep.
And I realized the power of prayer and the power of Jesus right before I went, but I still had all this shame and guilt. And I was ashamed of the father that I had become. I had essentially abandoned my two oldest children.
Yeah.
But with this newfound sobriety, I wanted to be in their lives again, obviously. Right. And it was something just holding me back. And I remember getting done with the lunges, and it was miserably hot that day too.
It was.
Oh man.
It was.
And I seen that ice bath.
Yep.
I was like, oh, this is going to be good.
Now, mind you, this was in October.
Yeah. in October in Arizona. And we lunged on a track with blacktop.
Yep.
Oh, it was unbearable. But I get to that ice bath, and I remember I was sitting there the whole time like, man, I hope there's nobody that I know
Yeah.
that's gonna be a part of this. Like, please. And but at the same time, I go up to the ice bath and it's Steve Black, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Steve really didn't know each other.
Yeah.
He had no clue about my story.
Yep.
And he asked me what I wanted to be prayed over about. And I told him I'm just ashamed of the man I've become. And I was scared and all of this guilt. Like how could I do that to my children, to my family, to all my loved ones? How could I just throw them to the side like that? And I just couldn't get past it. I was beating myself up every day, even in sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it was taking its toll on me. But I remember getting dunked into that ice bath and Steve praying over me. And that feeling of, it felt like my chest and my mind, like it just felt like they were wide open and I couldn't hear a single thing. And it was, and I could feel Steve's hand on my chest and my eyes were shut. And I remember just this weight coming off of me.
Yeah.
It's undescribable unless I think you're there to experience it yourself. But
yeah, that's what I tell people. You really can't explain it. I mean, yeah, just the whole thing that you go through. Yeah, I guess for me, I mean, we can talk about mental health all that we want, Steve, but when we went there, or when we went through Launchpad, and I mean, I think sometimes as humans we make things too difficult.
Yeah.
Like and when they started describing about laying down burdens, right? And then forgiving people. I mean, that's the hard thing, right?
Right.
Not just laying the burdens down, but forgiving people that you need to forgive in your life, and if they need to forgive you, the same. That was a struggle, but when they broke it down, and if you think about it, it's pretty basic things. Yes, it is hard because you have the human emotion part of it.
Yep.
But um I tell people all the time when they ask me about the prayer group, I guess this is where I'm going with this, is we can talk about mental health all we want. But this prayer group, yes, we use the term prayer group, but to me, it's so much more. It's
So
more
much
like
more.
a support group, and I go
Yeah.
back to, I've told the story before at group and
Yep.
even on here about when I wasn't able to make Josiah's Taekwondo
Yep.
belt testing, and Marco and Jazz and Jerry, they stepped in for me and were there. And he asked, I mean, that's the thing about it too, is when you get in these circles with these men, it is truly a support group.
Absolutely.
And that to me is where you start seeing better. I mean, you start doing better because you're not, and maybe this is the answer to my question earlier, was why do people turn to drugs and alcohol, is as well. Now you have someone that you can call.
Yep.
And number one, that will listen to you, but number two, also holds you accountable, because I've needed that, and it's kind of ironic that Steve was the guy to pray over you, because Steve is him and his wife Chelsea, they're dear friends of ours now, and yeah, we can't say enough good things about them, but yeah, he's a believer.
Yep.
And yeah, he's a very powerful prayer warrior.
Dude, he's a beast.
Yeah, he is.
I love that man. I'm so grateful for him.
Yeah, I am too, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
We'll end up having him on too. We've had Jerry on, but yeah, that's kind of my circle. So, um, but yeah, Steve has been great, and honestly, he's the one who got me involved too. I mean, we've already talked about that off camera, but
Yep.
let's keep talking about your story. Why don't you give me two takeaways, the two biggest things that happened to you at Launchpad, and then I want to end with talking about the foundation a little bit, and we'll.
The two biggest takeaways: forgiving myself
Mm-hmm.
and a radical encounter with the Holy Spirit.
It's pretty big.
It is, especially for somebody that I really, like I said, I really didn't believe, and it happened.
Yep.
And I'm forever grateful.
So when you were in that cold plunge and he was praying over you, and you said you didn't hear exactly what he said, but it felt like your chest and your mind, your heart and your mind were opened up.
Mm-hmm.
Is that where were you able to then forgive yourself and leave it in that water, so to speak, like they say?
Absolutely. I couldn't, for some reason, I couldn't picture my life moving forward without letting go. There's so much I held on to.
Yep.
And for no reason. And it was just after that, my life, my relationship with my children, my oldest children, has grown leaps and bounds. And just the way I carry myself and the way I have conversations with them. And, you know, I was able to talk to them about my addiction.
Yeah.
And where their dad was. And, you know, I blamed so many other people.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nobody else's fault but mine.
Yep.
And I felt like I had all this reason. I forgave myself. You can't hold on to that stuff. What are you counting?
The months. I'm sorry, because I was preparing for my next question, but yeah, no, I get what you're saying. So, being you've caught me.
Yep.
The next thing is 10 months later, or no, 7 months later. Sorry, can't even count with my fingers. Fast forward 7 months later after Launchpad.
Yep.
Okay. When does Cornerstone come into your mind? And I'll be honest with you, if you remember, you guys, and I don't know if this was the first day that you were talking about, I think it was shortly after, but you guys were in the restaurant downtown here, not too far from here. And I walked in. I ended up walking in.
Yep.
And I don't remember what we were. I brought something up to you guys, and that's when you're like, we're talking about that. Gosh, I can't remember what we were talking about.
We went to the Courthouse Cafe.
Yep.
So I had this idea about a sober living residence, but I just wasn't sure about it.
Yeah.
You know, I was struggling with some things.
Yep.
How does this work? What does it look like? Is it even possible? I call Eli. Let's go to lunch. I said, I gotta ask you some flipping questions, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. He's like, okay, meet me at the courthouse. Mark was there, and I think Neil was there. We sit down and we're talking about kind of the industry, people that are suffering from addiction, and there's no safe place for them to go when they're in recovery.
It's coming back to me now. I remember. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
yeah,
the question I asked was because there was a young kid that flunked a drug test, and he'd been in and out of rehab in different places, and I was struggling with it, and I'm like, where can I get this kid some help? You know, because he really needed a lot of help, and that's when. Okay, yeah, now it's coming back to me. So carry on.
And you walk in and you kind of bring it up, and I'm staring at you, dumbfounded.
And this is kind of the first time that you and I have met.
Yeah.
Like, personally.
And I was like, is this signs, miracles, and wonders?
Yep.
Is this really happening? And you leave, and Eli looks at me and he goes, what more do you need him to show you? Just do it.
Yeah.
It's like, and he's not wrong.
I remember that because I give Eli my whole spiel on this, what's going on, and I'm just struggling with it. And I remember he didn't say a word to me. All he did was look at you and goes,
Yep. Yeah. What more do you need? It's all laid out in front of you. Man, Cornerstone Recovery. Remember I told you earlier about I leave rehab, I get back to the house,
Yep.
I relapse like that. Man, that is such a common theme. And that's where this all started. Was not only myself, but I have a lot of friends that have gone through addiction, a lot of family members that struggle with it. And they always have a plan until you get put back into that same chaos or that lifestyle. Even though you're sober, I don't care who you are, you can't fight it. It's just not going to happen. And so that's where Cornerstone Recovery Foundation comes in. In my hometown, mind you, we've never had one. We've had inpatient treatment, things like that, but that's where Cornerstone Recovery Foundation comes in, where we offer safe, structured housing for men. And the thing is, these guys, you get out of rehab treatment and you're freaking scared. You're so scared. You have to learn how to think again, how to work again. You have to learn how to do the simplest things. When you go through a severe battle with addiction, you honestly have to relearn your whole life. And I moved out of town, but you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to leave your town, especially your hometown. This community should already have those services in place.
I would agree.
And it's unfortunate that we haven't had it. And being as I was such a big problem for this community at one point in my life, I want to pay it back and do something good for this community. This is my home. This is where my kids are. This is where I'll probably be for the rest of my life. And anybody suffering from addiction shouldn't have to suffer alone. And that's where this comes into place. And we want to set up every single individual. You can stay there as long as you want, but I don't want you to come back. And my goal is to teach these guys not just the necessary steps of life, but to give them the tools, whether it's through, guest speakers like Eli Black's showing up to speak to these men, but I want to show them the power of Christ and what he can do for your life, and helping out in the community and just giving back. That's what I want to see.
I agree. And that kind of goes back to the point again of what the men's group does for us. Okay. We can talk about mental health and rehab and different things like that. And you can disagree with me if you want to when I say this, is I feel that instead of putting these guys in the system, so to speak, and setting them up for failure, because that's what I feel, and of course I have not been where you have been with this, but from friends and people that have gone through it, when what they say is what you're saying is that once you get out, it's like, okay, what do I do now? What is the next step? And I feel that if we can support these guys with a group like what we've got going on, what you've got going on with your Cornerstone Foundation, and intertwine them, what better way to get people to really get them quote unquote rehabbed, right? What
Absolutely.
better way so they know that they have that support system, that they aren't going to be judged. Are they going to be held accountable? Sure.
Absolutely.
But there's a difference between getting held accountable and being judged, right?
Yep.
And I think that's, and I mean, being involved in politics and stuff the way that I was, and if we remember correctly, our former first lady was high on rehab and different things like that, and I feel that was, and I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I feel that it was a waste of time because I don't feel the results were there, and this was why.
100%.
Because it's like what you and I are talking about right now.
Mhm.
We're talking about a couple different things. We're talking about support and we're talking about Jesus.
Mhm.
Well, us as a society have not, talking about Jesus isn't the in thing to do.
It's no, it's not.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is instead of putting these guys or these, not just guys, gals too, putting people through rehabs and the system, so to speak, why don't we give them, why don't they give them what everybody needs? That's support, the power of prayer. Um,
It's a proven fact, especially in the sober living world, that a faith-based sober living type environment
yeah,
actually reduces the relapse rates by up to 80%. 80 flipping percent. Versus I think without a faith base, it's like 60, 70, which is still phenomenal. But
Well,
you had the power of prayer.
yeah.
Man.
Look at this group. I mean, it's been up to as many as 300 guys showing up on Tuesday morning at 5:30
Yep.
in Williston, North Dakota. And what
Right.
did you call it earlier? What was it called? What was Williston called? White something?
The Williston White.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a place like that. And I'll be honest with you, Steve, when the boom first broke out up here and I was driving truck and stuff, I was up here. I'll never forget it. I tell this story too a lot. Fortuna, North Dakota, which is up midnight. It was 40 below that night, and I was standing on a frac tank loading a vac truck. The moon was out. You could see your dog run away for as far as you want. And I was going on days off like that next morning. And I remember standing there and saying, I am never returning to this country once I go on days off again. I am never coming back here. I don't care what I have to do. The funny thing about that is 3 years later we end up buying a house in Ray, which is not very far from Fortuna, right?
Yep.
So, and my wife and I, we were just recently talking about it too, about maybe I was called here, even though it's taken 8 years, and I didn't know why. Like now, I don't. It would be hard for us to leave unless we get called somewhere else.
Right.
It really would.
Yeah.
So, I guess that's, to me, that's real rehab. That is real support, and I just feel that, and I guess it doesn't really matter what I feel, but it this is working, right? We're getting
Absolutely.
more results doing it like this.
Yep.
And I think if us as a society could just love each other a little bit more, we'd be doing a lot better.
Love thy neighbor.
Yep. So,
man, I had fun.
I did too. I'm sorry for all the technical difficulties that we inquired, but I would like to have you back as your foundation grows. Is there anything? I know we kind of I kind of took us down a road there. Is there anything else that you would like to say about your foundation getting started?
No, I don't think there's anything really to add. I want to stress to people that a sober living residence is a place where individuals come that are already in recovery. They're already sober,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to continue the path of sobriety.
Yes.
They want help to stay on that path. We're not a treatment center, so you don't have to worry about people being in active addiction. And I think a good group of people watching this will probably understand why I said that. But these are normal, everyday human beings that want to continue staying sober. They don't want to fall back. They just need help.
Yeah.
So
I would encourage anyone just to, and before I say that, I guess that was one thing that I took away from Launchpad is how I view people now.
Mhm.
Like, I guess the way I view them is what must they be going through? What burden are they carrying, or what unforgiveness are they dragging with them to make them react or act the way that they do?
Yep.
And so, I would just encourage people to have an open mind about this and actually, instead of attacking right away, sit down and have conversation. And I think we lack that a lot. A lot of that.
We definitely lack a lot of having a conversation.
Some of that is, I don't know. It's just it. We could go on and on for that, but
we could spend another 2 hours on that.
Right. So I would just encourage people to come with an open mind, and ask questions, and be ready to answer some questions too on why you feel the way that you do.
Mhm.
Right. And hopefully you guys can come to a resolution on that.
Yeah.
So I think it is something definitely needed in this area, because where is the closest?
It would be Endeavor Sober Living down in Watford, just south of Watford.
Watford.
Yep.
Okay.
Fantastic group of guys. If anybody is, looking for that at this time, definitely check out Endeavor Sober Living. They're attached with Providence House. Fantastic group.
Sounds great. Well, Steve, I really appreciate your time. I would like to have you on again,
dude, for sure.
And we'll
I freaking loved it.
We'll keep doing this.
Kind of scatterbrained, but
yeah,
this is the first time I've really
done a podcast.
Spoke about all this stuff.
Yeah.
So
I'd love to have you on again. I'm planning on doing some roundtable talks and different things like that. So
I would love it.
We're just getting started.
Awesome, man.
Obviously there's kinks to get worked out and stuff like that. So
I appreciate your time. Thank you for having a platform and letting people speak.
You bet. I appreciate it. So if you guys wouldn't mind following us on YouTube, guys, give us a like or subscribe. We'd definitely appreciate it. We're going to have more areas where you can follow, more platforms where you can follow. We are on Spotify. I've got a couple episodes on there, and I'm looking into getting on Apple Music as well, and then the iHeartRadio as well for audio. So with that, God bless everyone and have a good night, and we'll be talking with you next week.
Later. Are we still live?
I'm waiting for Marco to tell us.
I just want you to awkwardly look up.